From Anthony Joshua talks about fighting an ex-UFC star, to Jake Paul makes violent threat to Nate Diaz, and to Donald Trump shared the identities of his top 2 favorite UFC fighters. Here are some of the latest news that's happening in the UFC right now. After a lunch meeting with Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua is in talks to face an ex-UFC fighter. Anthony Joshua's career could take an unexpected turn. Eddie Hearn has acknowledged that he had lunch with former UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou, laying a path for a mega fight with his client Anthony Joshua. Hearn was taken aback by Ngannou's remarkable narrative and says he'd like to pit him against AJ in the not-too-distant future. Ngannou has expressed his ambition to convert to boxing since leaving the UFC earlier this year. The Cameroonian puncher, meanwhile, has targeted Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, and Anthony Joshua for his debut fight inside the squared circle. Ngannou verbally agreed to a mixed martial arts fight with Fury earlier this year, but nothing has come of it. And now, Hearn has thrown his hat into the ring to take on the Predator. In a million years, with Francis Ngannou's ability and pedigree in boxing, you cannot go in and compete technically, skill-wise, not just with AJ, but with any top 20 heavyweight in the world, Hearn said on the MMA Hour. But the difference in that division is that you can knock someone out. So it doesn't matter if Francis fights Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. I agree, terrible fight for Francis Ngannou because he just poke Ngannou around, Deontay Wilder, Dillian Whyte, Derek Chisora, Jermaine Franklin. He has no chance against those guys other than to be aggressive, trade up, and catch someone clean and take him out. So, I believe you are correct in your statement. After seeing that performance, many would give fighters a lot greater chance against AJ. That equates to Francis Ngannou in your world. So why not? I don't think it's a fight that will help Anthony Joshua's progress under his new trainer, but I'd recently had lunch with Francis Ngannou. You've heard his story. I was completely taken aback by this man's story. We sat for 2 hours, and I was just listening to the most extraordinary. I mean, I have no idea how this isn't a film. Unbelievable, Hearn added. I'm thinking, please let me go to Hollywood right now with you and sell this film. People need to be educated about what that man has been through in his journey to get to where he is. He piqued my interest. I'd love to do something with this gorgeous man. Jake Paul issues a violent threat to Nate Diaz as a boxing match against the UFC star is publicized. Jake Paul will face Nate Diaz in August of this year. On Twitter, Jake Paul referred to his battle with Nate Diaz as the UFC star's burial. The pair will fight in Dallas in August, with the former deciding against a rematch with Tommy Fury. At the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Paul will face Diaz, one of the most successful UFC fighters in recent history. The fight will take place on August 5th and will be fought at 185 pounds over 8 rounds. The YouTuber had fired multiple jabs at Diaz in the lead up to the announcement after revealing that he wanted to fight the UFC star, and he couldn't pass up the opportunity to take another shot at his potential opponent when the bout was announced. August 5th commemorate the funeral for Nathaniel Diaz as we return him in casket to Dana, Paul tweeted. At the service, refreshments will be served. Black tie required. Paul hasn't fought since Fury handed him his first ever boxing defeat in February. However, he believes the defeat is the best thing that could have happened to him that night. My last fight didn't end the way I wanted it to, but the outcome was the best thing that could have happened to my professional boxing aspirations, he said in a statement. Now, the world thinks I'm vulnerable, when all I am is more focused than ever. My team wanted me to take an easy fight like KSI next, but that's not how I'm built. Nate Diaz is considered one of the most badass fighters of all time, but he and his team have been running their mouths for far too long. Diaz hasn't competed professionally since beating Donald Ferguson at UFC 279 in September 2022, bringing his career record to 21 victories in 36 fights. Regardless of his fame, it remains to be seen how he adjusts to life in boxing. Fury, on the other side, has hinted that he may face X1 Direction singer Liam Payne. Both men posted a photo of a poster with the words "announcement tomorrow" and the location Old Trafford. Although there have been some claims that the event being teased is soccer aid rather than a boxing contest, these are unsubstantiated. Conor Mcgregor snubbed as Donald Trump tells Dana White his 2 favorite UFC fighters. Donald Trump is an avid supporter of mixed martial arts. Donald Trump has announced his top 2 UFC fighters, and Conor McGregor, the former featherweight and lightweight double champion, does not make the cut. The former U.S. president was spotted sitting cage-side at UFC 287 alongside franchise owner Dana White, Mike Tyson, and Kid Rock. Throughout the night, Trump leaped from his seat as USA chants drowned out the Casilla Center. Trump's fondness of mixed martial arts has long been unknown, but White has now revealed his enthusiasm for the sport. On an evening when Israel Adesanya knocked out middleweight champion Alex Pereira, a reporter instead inquired about Trump's presence. When asked about his support on the night, the journalist said, "What kind of fight fan is he? Is he the type of guy who wants to see a brawl or a technical back and forth?" White said, smiling, "So this guy, Donald Trump, calls me twice a month and will talk to me for an hour about the fights that have happened. He knows everybody. He knows what they did and who they fought last. He's a huge fight fan. Loves this stuff." Trump's favorite fighter on the roster was then revealed to another reporter, as White sensationally revealed Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal. It should come as no surprise that the 76-year-old, who served as the 45th President of the United States from 2017 to 2021, chose Covington and Masvidal as his favorites, given that both fighters are ardent Trump supporters. Following his fifth-round victory over Tyron Woodley in 2020, Covington received an on-air phone call from Trump. He had also visited the White House 2 years ago, with Covington being a vocal supporter of Trump during his presidency. Masvidal, like Covington, joined Trump on a day-long bus trip across Florida called Fighters Against Socialism in 2020. Masvidal later told Insider that Trump referred to him as a bad mother and invited him to the White House. The same cannot be said about Mcgregor, whom Trump appears to have overlooked while picking his franchise favorites. In 2020, Trump will commemorate Martin Luther King Day by praising his own accomplishments in reducing African American unemployment. Mcgregor was eager to compliment the New York native's presidency. Mcgregor responded to his enormous following, which now stands at 9.9 million, saying, "Phenomenal president. Quite possibly the USA GOAT, greatest of all time. Most certainly one of them anyway, as he sits atop the shoulders of many amazing giants that came before him." That's a wrap for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more interesting and informative videos. See you in the next one.
My mind, I knew at that time that he was a time. I was right at that time.
Everything goes well, yes. There are a lot of people around it.
It was a time. I was right at that time, and I'm still right. I'm sorry, but I know.
Manage the fight, I'll take it easy. I just think that I'm gonna knock it out.
Russia and us are comparable. Massive power, massive.
It's all piling on him. So I feel if I just go,
That's me back in my primitive child stages. I shouldn't have done it, but
When they step in there, you know, he